Hi, my name's John. If you're here watching my videos, tap the subscribe button in the lower right hand corner. If you like my videos, hit the bell icon so you can get notifications for new videos. And at the end of the video, you can hit the icon in the center and also subscribe to my channel. Okay, this is my truck. Sorry about the light. It's pretty dark. There we go. This is the Holley 7-inch digital dash I put in here. It's not picking up very well because of the light outside. As you can tell, right here, my truck has almost 3,000 miles on it. Okay. It's got a belt squeak because I don't know if it's a belt squeak or a bearing squeak. The AC bearing's starting to drag, but it makes the belt squeak. And I made the mistake of putting belt dressing on it, and you don't do that with the multi-V belts. So what I'm gonna do is show you startup. You give it 5 seconds, let the fuel pump build up. Okay, then you go ahead and start it, and it starts right up. Now this one, if you don't give it that 5 seconds to sync, the cam sensor or the crank sensor, one of them's not sensing, and it starts backfiring. I think it's the cam sensor, whatever drives the timing, and it backfires because it's hitting on the wrong cylinders, all I can figure. I mean, it runs fantastic. So I'm gonna stick y'all to the back window and give y'all a little ride. Maybe. Well, that didn't work out. Hang on. Gotta tighten everything up. Okay. Hopefully you're just not looking at the hood. I've got to go get a key made for my shop. For the gate. Hang on, I gotta put a cord in the back of the truck. Excuse the mess of my truck. And just remember, this is a 6.0 LS engine. It's got the Holley Terminator X. For the drive-by-wire throttle body. Okay, it is a standard. I gotta have some air. My AC is not working right now, so, and I don't want to turn it on because of that belt. But the battery charges at 13.9, and the thing about it is if the grounds start coming loose in this thing, it gets to where it starts charging like crap. So you have to go through and check your grounds every once in a while, make sure they're all still tight, especially the one on the battery, because that's what powers the computer. The computer's over there in my passenger side floorboard. I'm trying to learn how to TIG weld so I can build an aluminum diamond plate cover for it. I think my truck's running out of gas. believe my truck just ran out of gas, which is kind of strange because I just switched to that tank. Something happened, and now it don't want to start. That's a good thing about a standard, is you can get it off the roadway. Let me see if I may have. See what's going on. It's not switching tanks or something. Never done that before, but this tank should be pretty close to full. But anyway, it switched back onto the tank I was just on, and it died. I guess it died because I dumped the clutch and then it got out of sync somehow. We'll see while I'm going down the road, but it's not wanting to run for some reason. If I had to walk, I've got a gas can, because my gauge isn't really working on both tanks, so I really don't know how much fuel I have. It's supposed to be running off both tanks, but it runs good. No, it ain't gonna run on that one. So what happens, okay, I put the control valve out of a diesel in it to switch the tanks, because it'll handle the 60 pounds of pressure that this motor requires. But I bought it off eBay. So what happens is when I switch tanks, the return doesn't really switch. It doesn't go back into the tank that it's drawing out of. It goes back to the left tank. So now I've switched back to the left tank again, and I'm gonna have to save some money and buy the switch valve, the valve switch that runs to the both tanks, buy a real one and run it that way. See, now that I'm on this tank, it shows it's got half a tank. So, you know, it's not returning to the right tank, it's returning to the left tank, everything. Even when I switch it at the switch. So I think it was a defective switch that somebody scobbed off the manufacturer, and I ended up with it, you know, via eBay. So I'm gonna go over here and fill up with gas. And then I don't have to worry about it. But I mean, it's put almost 3/4 of a tank in that side. I've only driven it 3 or 4 times, so all the return that the motor doesn't burn goes into the passenger side tank, and I'm fixing to find out when I build the thing up. So, you know, we'll see what I put in here, and it's probably only going to be 4 or 5 gallons. But other than that belt squeak, the thing runs really good. But yeah, I enjoy driving it, that's for sure. Let me go in here, or let me go out here and pay for gas and put it in. I've got to go get a key made, and I'll be right back. Well, don't look like I'm getting gas out of that pump. But it's not because we're out of gas here. I live in Texas. It's where the line starts. The pump's just bad, so I changed pumps, but give me a second and I'll be right back. That's a good looking old truck.
Yours not too bad.
Yours not too bad. It could be better. It runs good though.
Well, it's good. It's a 4x4, eh?
Yes, sir.
All right.
4x4, 1 ton.
It's like a bull of it. You gotta.
It's got 373 gears in it. It doesn't have the low ones. I have them for it, but
Yeah.
uh,
Good for the gas. It's better.
well, it's LS swap too.
Oh, okay.
So
What's
that
that? What, 79?
actually it's an 84.
84.
Yes, sir. I've got a 79.
Corvette? Okay.
Same exact truck.
Yeah.
Just square, more square than this one is.
Right. Is that a 350?
It had a 350. It doesn't have anything in it right now.
Perfect.
I'm looking at taking the drivetrain, the transmission,
Right.
and the transfer cases that we use on the chain drive.
Okay.
And it's a lot more heavy duty.
Yeah.
I was thinking about taking it out and running it in here because I pulled a fifth wheel.
Yeah, I was looking at it with that. How long is it? Yeah, 50.
30 feet. It's 12 6 high.
Okay.
And with the manual in it, it struggles a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, it'll pull at 70 on a good day, but
Yeah.
I don't need to be pulling it that fast. But
No.
my foot's on the floor.
Yeah. What you mean?
It don't get hot though.
That's good. And around here, it's all flat. When you go to the mountain, it's totally different.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, we're looking at a diesel. We're just using it for around here
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, they say they can.
Yes, sir. Wish I could find an old Coca-Cola toter or something like that with
Yeah.
that little M106 Freightliner.
Right.
Put the fifth wheel on it and use it. That would be the cheap way to go.
Right.
Alrighty, we'll see you later.
All right, take care.
You too. Okay, I was closer the first time. It had about half a tank over there, and I'd already run the driver's side tank empty. Pull out from the traffic here. I would already drive. I'd already run the left tank dry, and I've been running on the right tank. Well, instead of returning the fuel back to the right tank, it was returning all the fuel back to the left tank. So, I mean, 10 gallons. I've been driving it for a week, and I just put under 10 gallons, like 7.7 or something like that. So, and it's full. So almost 3/4 of a tank. The tank holds like 21 or 22, but really good. I think I want to put a turbo 400 in it. I have an MP205 and a turbo 400. The radiator set up for transmission cooler, and then I've got an external cooler I can put on it. So I mean, as far as that goes, the truck's got almost 3,000 miles on it. The only time it's left me sitting on the side of the road is when I wasn't paying attention and I run it out of gas. But other than that, it's been a really good truck. Every once in a while the lifters tap in it because the motor's got a lot of trash in it, and it gets in there and clogs up the lifters, and they'll tap for a couple of seconds, maybe a minute at the most, and then it clears out again. I put some marble mystery oil in it, and it helps, you know, because it breaks that stuff down, but it's also breaking more of it out from inside the motor. So when I go to change the oil here in 95 miles or so, I'll be running some motor flush in it to go ahead and flush the rest of that crap out, hopefully, and take care of that problem. Maybe we won't ever have that problem again. Okay, I'm gonna go in here and get another key made, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Had to get me a DP. Hate when that happens. Just use my other keys. I don't want to dig them out of my pocket. See, you don't let it sit and sync up, it won't start. Thing has so much crap in it. This is my dad's console for his truck. And it's just sat out in the weather in a truck with no back window. I just threw it in here. I didn't clean it out or anything. Kind of nasty of me, but I don't care. Usually set a drink in it because they don't fit. It's one of the old school ones that had that coffee cup with the little bitty bottom and then got wider, and it'll hold the can because the bottles weren't really popular back then. Thing about these old SM465s, they're big, huge transmission. They're heavy duty. I mean, it's basically the same as a big truck transmission. It's not. It's nowhere near as huge, but it's a transmission below what they put in the old C50s, C60s, stuff like that. Second, third, and fourth have synchronizers, but first doesn't. Or low, as it is on the stick. It's low first, second, third. You know, they call it a 3-speed. Most people call it a granny 4. And I'm sure everybody that watches my channel knows this, but everything works on my dash. My turn signals show up on my dash. My high beams show up on my dash. My speedometer, my water temperature, the oil pressure, the odometer, and the degrees of timing, because I'm watching that. The only reason that's there is because I'm watching it, because it still self-tunes. I've never had it tuned. I don't, you know, I've got a safe tune in it. I had a buddy that knows Holly inside and out tune it up a little bit for me, and it's not anything that's gonna cause any spark knock or anything like that. So it's not hurting it. Okay, I'm gonna get out here and check my keys to make sure they all work, and I'll be right back. Okay, well, one worked, two didn't. And I didn't get I'm having to make my keys off a spare key because I didn't get an original key. What's going on? I don't know if my phone's on or not, or my camera's on or not, so I can't see what it's doing. I'll have to look at it. Yeah, it looks like it's recording now. It just shut off, I think, but anyway, we'll find out. And I'll get rid of all this me being mad at me for not checking it every time I get in, but it's kind of hard to read in the rear view mirror. But this is the great city of Plainview, Texas. We don't have a hot rod store within driving distance. I mean, we do. If you want to drive to Summit in Dallas, which I don't, that's about a 9-hour drive for us. I mean, if it come down to it and I needed something and that was the quickest way to get it, yeah, I'd do it. But I don't, and it's not, so and it's actually most of the time not even cheaper than having something overnighted. So, you know, it's I believe 470 miles to Dallas from here. I believe that's right, somewhere in there. But anyway, it's a long drive, not really worth going there and coming back. All right, I'm gonna go check these other two keys just to make sure I have one for my son, and then I'll be back. Okay, both them keys work, so I'm headed back to the house. I had to come up here and cut the lock off for these guys because I didn't want them to cut the chain that I welded on there. Last guy that rented the shop, every time I turned around, he had somebody going over there cutting chain, cutting the lock off, and they'd cut, you know, a link off the chain every freaking time, and we got down to where we didn't have a chain to lock the gate up. So I went back and welded another piece of chain on it. And now these people have been doing it. I forgot my key. I'll just cut the chain and then I'll get somebody else to lock it up and get a key off their key. Well, now my chain's down to about 5 links again. And I told them, you know, I'll come up there and cut it. That way we don't lose any more chain links. I'll just use a right angle grinder with a cutting wheel, and we'll go from there. So that's what I did. gave me one key, and I'm like, there's two of us. We need two keys. Well, you'll have to go get your own made. Then I need a real key. I don't need because you can't hardly make keys off of the made keys. So I'll keep the good one for myself that makes good keys, and then I'll give the other one to my son. They all work the same, so it's close enough. You do not speed in this town. You get a ticket. Unless you're close with the cops here. And I'm not. I call them the brotherhood. You know, they're above the law. They do what they want. Buzzes pretty loud. And it's my fault. I mean, right here is about 50 miles an hour. I've got GPS sensor that I can plug into here, and I think I'm going to start doing that because the wires that I've run from the Hall effect to the board aren't shielded wire, so it makes a lot of noise. The transmission, it picks up all the noise off the transmission and the drive line and the gears and the motor, and it translates all that noise into the transmission sometimes. So sometimes the speedometer, you know, jumps all over the place, especially at idle. But I mean, as far as driving down the road, it's got 373 gears in it. The tires are about 29 inches tall. I'm doing 65 miles roughly an hour at about 2750, 2770, somewhere in there. At 70, okay, at 70 I'm running about 2930. At 75, I'm running about 3100. So, you know, it's not asking too much of the motor. So I can actually put 411s in it, pull my trailer better, and maybe not even have to change transmission. But I really think it would be a good idea for me to go automatic, just in my mind. With 373s or 411s, that, you know, 373 is about the highest gear I'd want to put behind a turbo 400. They're not real high geared to begin with. They're good transmissions for low gears. I mean, their drive gears are a little higher. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. But anyway, see my junk pile out here. This is my home. But anyway, I'm gonna get off of here, and y'all see me drive the truck. I put almost 10 miles on it. So, you know, I live about 2 miles outside the city limits. It's roughly 5 miles to my shop. The little store I went to, maybe a mile. So, you know, roughly 10 miles. And I guess that's going to be it for right now. I guess we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.